I woke up one morning to a cold breeze creeping across my face, and my bedroom window was wide open, though I swore I'd locked it the night before. It was the first day of a week that would unravel everything I thought I knew about my home. My name's Ethan, and I live alone in a small single-story house on the edge of a quiet town in upstate New York. It's the kind of place where the nearest neighbor is a quarter-mile away, and the loudest sound at night is the hum of crickets, or the occasional hoot of an owl. I moved here a year ago after a messy breakup, craving solitude and a fresh start. The house was old, built in the 1950s, with creaky floors and windows that rattled in the wind, but it was affordable, and I liked its quirks. At least I did until that first morning in early October. It was a Tuesday, and I woke up shivering. My bedroom was freezing, the air sharp against my skin. I sat up, groggy, and noticed the window across from my bed was open, the curtains swaying, lazily. I frowned. I always closed and locked it before going to sleep, habit from living in the city for years. I got up, my bare feet flinching against the cold hardwood, and shut the window, clicking the latch firmly into place. I chalked it up to forgetfulness. Maybe I'd been distracted the night before, scrolling through my phone or half asleep when I went to bed. It was odd, but not alarming. Not yet. The next morning, it happened again. I woke to the same chill, the same open window. This time, I knew I hadn't forgotten. I double-checked the latch the night before, even tugging on it to make sure it was secure. I stood there, staring at the window, my breath visible in the cold air. The latch wasn't broken, no scratches, no signs of tampering. It was just open. Outside, the backyard was still, the grass damp with dew, the trees motionless under a gray sky. Nothing looked out of place, but a faint unease settled in my chest. I locked the window again, this time with a little more force, and went about my day. I work remotely as a graphic designer, so I spend most of my time in the house, hunched over my laptop in the living room. That day, I kept glancing toward the hallway that led to my bedroom, half expecting to hear something, a creak, a tap, anything. But the house was quiet, save for the low hum of my computer and the occasional gurgle of the radiator. By evening, I'd convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe the latch was loose or the old frame was warped, letting the window slide open on its own. I didn't believe it entirely, but it was easier than the alternative. That night, I checked the window 3 times before bed. I even pressed my weight against it, testing the latch until I was satisfied it wouldn't budge. I slept fitfully, waking at every small sound. The wind against the house, a branch scraping the roof. When morning came, my heart sank. The window was open again, wider this time, the curtains pushed to one side like someone had parted them to look in, or out. I didn't know what to do. I stood there, my pulse thudding in my ears, scanning the room for anything out of place. My bed was untouched, the covers still neatly tucked. My closet door was closed, my dresser drawers shut. Nothing was missing. Not my wallet, not my phone, not the spare cash I kept in a tin on the nightstand. I checked the rest of the house, every door, every window. All locked, all secure. No footprints in the yard, no smudges on the glass. Just that one window, open like an invitation. I called a locksmith that afternoon. He was a gruff older guy named Carl, who'd lived in the area his whole life. He inspected the window, muttering about old houses and their quirks. "These latches can wear out," he said, tapping the frame. "Or the wood's settled, maybe it's not catching right." He replaced the latch with a new one, sturdier, with a satisfying click when it locked. I asked if he'd ever heard of windows opening on their own. He shrugged, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Houses this old? They got stories. Don't mean they're true." He left me with the new latch and a bill, and I felt a little better. Not much, but enough to sleep that night without checking the window obsessively. The next morning, I didn't want to look. I lay in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, dreading the moment I'd turn my head and see the window open again. When I finally looked, my stomach dropped. The window was open, not just unlatched, but pushed up as far as it would go. The new latch was undone, the mechanism gleaming in the morning light, untouched by any signs of force. I got up, my legs shaky, and slammed it shut. My hands were trembling as I locked it, the click of the latch loud in the silent room. That was when I started to feel watched. It's hard to explain, a prickling on the back of my neck like someone was standing just out of sight. I'd turn, expecting to see a shadow in the hallway or a face in the window, but there was nothing. Just the house, quiet and still. I started leaving lights on at night, the glow spilling into the hallway, casting long shadows that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking. I'd hear things too, small sounds, like the faint scrape of something against the floorboards or a soft tap on the walls. I told myself it was the house settling, the pipes, the wind. But deep down, I wasn't sure. I decided to set up a camera. I had an old webcam, nothing fancy, but it could record through the night. I positioned it on my dresser, aimed at the window, and hit record before bed. I locked the window, checked it twice, and even wedged a chair under the handle for good measure. If something was opening it, I'd catch it. I barely slept that night, jumping at every creak, every gust of wind. When morning came, I didn't even look at the window. I grabbed my laptop and opened the footage. The video started at 10:37 p.m., the room dimly lit by the glow of my bedside lamp. The window was closed, the latch secure, the chair in place. I fast-forwarded, watching the timestamp tick by. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Nothing. Just the curtains swaying slightly, probably from a draft. At 3:14 a.m., the screen flickered. Not a glitch, but a subtle shift, like the light in the room changed. I leaned closer, my heart pounding. The chair was still there, the window still closed. But something felt wrong. At 3:16 a.m., the latch clicked. I froze, my finger hovering over the pause button. The sound was unmistakable, sharp, and deliberate. The chair didn't move, but the window began to slide upward, inch by inch, smooth and silent. No hands, no tools, no shadow of anyone outside, just the window opening on its own. The curtains parted slightly, and for a split second, I thought I saw something. A flicker of movement, like a shadow passing outside. But when I rewound and paused, the frame was empty. Just the open window, the night beyond it, black and still. I didn't know what to think. Part of me wanted to believe it was a trick of the light, a fault in the camera, anything rational. But the window was open when I checked, the chair still wedged under the handle, untouched. I played the footage again, frame by frame, searching for something I'd missed. At 3:15:58, just before the latch clicked, there was a faint sound, a low, breathy hum, like someone exhaling close to the microphone. I hadn't heard it in the room that night, but it was there on the recording, clear as day. I didn't sleep in my bedroom that night. I dragged a blanket to the couch in the living room, leaving every light in the house on. The footage looped in my mind, that hum echoing over and over. I called a friend, Matt, who lived an hour away. He's the practical type, always quick to dismiss ghost stories or anything remotely paranormal. I told him everything, my voice shaking as I described the video. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Look, it's probably just the house. Old wiring, old pipes, something mechanical. Stay at my place for a few days. Clear your head." I wanted to take him up on it, but the idea of leaving the house felt wrong, like abandoning it would make things worse. I told him I'd think about it and hung up. That day I went to the hardware store and bought a heavy-duty padlock for the window. I drilled it into the frame myself, securing it so tightly I could barely turn the key. If the window opened now, it'd have to break the lock or the glass. I felt a flicker of control, like I was finally fighting back. That night, I set up the camera again, this time with a second one in the hallway just in case. I slept on the couch, the padlock key on a chain around my neck. I don't know what I expected, Maybe the sound of shattering glass or the lock being forced. But when I woke up, the house was silent. I checked the bedroom, my heart in my throat. The window was closed, the padlock intact. I exhaled, relief flooding through me. Maybe it was over. Then I checked the footage. The bedroom camera showed nothing unusual, just the window, locked and still, the chair in place. But the hallway camera caught something. At 3:16 a.m., the same time as the night before, the hallway light dimmed just for a second. Then a shadow moved across the wall. Not a person, not a shape I could identify, but a distortion, like something bending the light. It lingered for a moment, then vanished. The audio picked up that same breathy hum, louder this time, almost like a whisper without words. I didn't know what to do. I called Carl, the locksmith, and asked him to check the window again. He came by that afternoon, looking skeptical but willing to humor me. He tested the padlock, the frame, everything. "Solid as a rock," he said. "Nothing's getting through this without a crowbar." I asked if he'd ever heard of anything strange in the area. Old stories, local legends. He hesitated, then mentioned a rumor about the land my house was built on. Decades ago, it was part of a larger property, owned by a family who disappeared in the 70s. No bodies, no explanation, just gone. The house was built years later, and no one talked about it much. "Probably just small-town gossip," he said, but his eyes lingered on the window a little too long. That night, I couldn't bring myself to stay in the house. I booked a motel room in town, telling myself it was just for a night to clear my head. I left the cameras running, one in the bedroom, one in the hallway. I barely slept, staring at the motel ceiling. The hum from the footage stuck in my mind. When I got back the next morning, the house felt different, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. The window was still locked, the padlock untouched. I checked the footage, my hands shaking as I opened my laptop. The bedroom camera showed nothing, just the window, locked and still. But the hallway camera, God, I wish I hadn't looked. At 3:16 a.m., the light dimmed again, and the shadow was back, clearer this time. It wasn't just a distortion, it had a shape, vague but humanoid, like someone standing just out of frame. The hum was louder, almost a voice, murmuring something I couldn't make out. Then at 3:17, the camera tilted slightly, like something had nudged it. I checked the camera when I got home. It was still in place, but the angle was off just a few degrees. I didn't know who to call or what to do. The police? They'd laugh me off or think I was crazy. A priest? I wasn't religious, and I didn't even know if I believed in that kind of thing. But I couldn't ignore it anymore. Something was in my house, and it wasn't just opening the window. It was watching me, waiting for something. I decided to stay one more night, to face it, whatever it was. I set up every light I had, flooding the house with brightness. I kept a kitchen knife on the coffee table, though I didn't know what good it would do. I sat on the couch, the cameras rolling, my eyes fixed on the hallway. The hours dragged on, the house silent except for the hum of the lights. At 3:15 a.m., I felt it, that prickling on my neck stronger than ever. The air grew heavy, like a storm was coming. I gripped the knife, my palms sweaty, and waited. At 3:16, the lights flickered, not just in the hallway, every light in the house. The hum started, not from the cameras this time, but from the air around me, low and vibrating like it was coming from the walls. I stood, my legs unsteady, and called out, "Who's there?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the house. The hum stopped, and for a moment there was nothing but silence. Then I heard it, a soft, deliberate step, like bare feet on the hardwood coming from the bedroom. I froze, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would burst. Another step closer this time. The hallway light dimmed, and the shadow appeared, not on the wall, but at the edge of the hallway, just out of sight. I backed toward the front door, the knife trembling in my hand. "Leave me alone!" I shouted, my voice cracking. The shadow didn't move, but the air grew colder, the hum returning, louder, almost a whisper. I couldn't make out words, but it felt like it was trying to say something to pull me closer. I fumbled for the door, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the knob. The last thing I saw before I ran was the bedroom door, slowly creaking open, though no one was there. I haven't been back to the house. I'm staying with Matt now, trying to figure out what to do. I grabbed my laptop and cameras when I fled, but I can't bring myself to watch the footage from that night. The police went to check the house, but they found nothing. No signs of a break-in, no damage, just the window, still locked with the padlock. They think I'm overreacting, that it's stress or a prank. But I know what I heard, what I felt. Sometimes at night, I wake up to a cold breeze, even in Matt's apartment. I check the windows. They're always closed. But I hear that hum, faint, like it's followed me. And last night, I found a scratch on my bedroom window here, thin and deliberate, like someone traced a finger across the glass. I don't know what it wants, but I'm afraid it's not done with me.